Hello, everyone, and welcome to Got Thrones, a Game of Thrones podcast. I'm your host, Alexandra August, and with me, as ever, is my co-host, Johnny Kolizinski.
Folks.
We are here to talk to you about episode 4 of season 1 of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, aptly titled Seven.
This is not episode 7 of 9, this is episode 7 of 6, which is episode 4.
And it is not the light of the seven. It is
No.
simply seven. We, like a lot of people, really, really enjoyed this episode. Found it deeply
Mhm.
satisfying on book level, on television level. Just a really thrilling 30 minutes of television. Johnny, what were you like? How did you feel watching this? Because we didn't watch together.
Yeah, we didn't watch it together. I did my rewatch yesterday with my wife, and it was equally exceptional. As someone who hadn't read the stories, it was really cool when she was catching on to things, and it was also really cool that she didn't catch that it was going to be Baylor at the end. So that there's a couple things that I want to talk about later, specifically with her reactions. But but yeah, I really loved it overall. Like I said in our hot take, I think that they absolutely earned the dramatic moment of is there no true knight in Westeros, which is something that we were concerned about it when we were talking about the show in advance. That that there's a sense of fun that like we said 15 times in the novellas that did not come out as much in the trailers. And this was not a fun episode, but it definitely earned all of the drama, all
It
of the stakes.
it absolutely did. This has been such a beautiful kind of piece by piece build to this climax, which like we didn't this is sort of a climax as we know, as in like we've reached the highest point that we've known until now, I would say, in terms of like narrative excitement and fruition, but there's still 2 more episodes to go. So like I feel like this narrative is still going to keep ascending before we reach the peak.
I love
I
that.
also I hear you on it really kind of like building beautifully to this. And even in this episode itself, there were some funny moments there, like when he, and we'll get to this because we want to highlight it, but like yeah, like I think, his walk in the rain after Baylor's like, well, you got to find a bunch of friends that you don't have, good luck.
Pretty
uh
practically Charlie Brown walked it.
I totally, oh my god, yeah, like yeah, I was very George Michael. Which again is something they keep kind of throwing in to remind us that this show is so tonally different, and so maybe we can relax and like not worry so much about the fates of our characters that we're starting to like. But before we get into it, we want to do a quick recap, just to speed through a quick recap of what happened in the episode before we get into our deep dive.
But Alex, didn't we do that already on the earlier episode?
Johnny, I'm glad you mentioned that. In fact, what you're going to hear, folks, is the recap that we recorded in the other episode. But just in case you've already heard it, we're going to speed it up so you don't waste a single second of your precious time. Oh, Johnny, that was the fastest recap in the West.
I'm a man, and honestly, poignant. I cried.
I,
Like,
it's the fast going podcast for the girl on the go. Uh, And with that, should we get into our kind of our first big topic this week? That is,
yeah, we do want to talk about the characters that were introduced, and it is someone that Alexandra has been waiting for the longest time, and it is blank, always blank on his first name because you're a Beesbury fan. I don't stand Beesbury quite as much.
it's not that I stan the Beesburys. I just like that you hear the name Beesbury, and I don't know, it's like when Maggie Smith was cast as Professor McGonagall in Harry Potter. It made sense. And like every time they've casted a Beesbury, I've been like, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know why I have a picture in my head of a certain person, but they've nailed it every time. And this poor guy doesn't even have like a name. I don't think he's even introduced. He doesn't have a line, but he is wearing his like yellow and black, like little doubloons, like little pantaloonies. And I wonder if he kind of looks a little nebbish, like his ancestor who's on the high council or whatever in House of the Dragon. I do so like but I kind of wonder if he's going to be like Yoda in the prequels and all of a sudden and just be like a ninja on the field and just like take on two of the Kingsguard like by himself. I don't know. I hope he's like a secret warrior or something, like a sleeper agent.
Like there will actually be a lightsaber.
Yeah, like him and Sir Robin Riesling are just shredding everyone. What if instead of the whistling, there's just like AC/DC?
Back in bees.
Pants full of
Yeah.
bees.
So yeah, that is our one character that was introduced. That and the farting knight.
That fucking guy. He looked like a Stark, and that broke my heart a little bit. That looked like it was a wolf pelt, and he just looked like he was from the I bet maybe he was an Umber, but I
Hmm.
I was really thinking to myself, I'm like,
Or a car Stark.
oh, I guess because they can't all be winners. Maybe he was a Bolton. I don't think so. His hair's too long.
Nah.
I
Yeah, I honestly thought like, and again, this is something we might have said briefly, but that was going to be a slow clap moment.
I really like again, having been a book reader, I was like, "Oh, that's all right. This looks great." And then
Can I veer from our outline a little bit? Actually, speaking of that moment, this is something we were going to talk about later, but I wanted to come. We're recording this on Tuesday, the 10th of February, and earlier today, Ira Parker did an AMA in I think it was the Game of Thrones subreddit, but it might have been the AMA subreddit, but it's definitely talked about in the Game of Thrones subreddit. But he had a really interesting and honest response to a question. Honestly, something that like you don't generally see, and I want to both point it out because it's a great moment, and also kudos to him for saying this 5 days after the episode aired. But somebody basically said that there was one scene that the redditor felt like was omitted, and that was a scene between Dunk and Steely Pate, where on his way to the joust, all of the small folk are being respectful towards him and giving him metaphorical flowers that he'd never received before, as the tall guy with a tall knight with a rope for his belt. And Dunk asks Steely Pate, why, who am I to them? The response is a knight who remembered his vows. And the quote on Reddit was, many readers consider this to be the soul and the morale of the entire novella. The impact comes from its not just the exchange itself, but its careful placement at Dunk's lowest point before he realized any champions had answered his call. And so it is an odd choice that was cut, given how otherwise faithful Parker had been to the novella. And Parker's response was, honestly, it was a mistake on my part. Not my first, not my last on this show. That scene was in the script at one point, but it fell out. And he agrees that it is the soul of the story, and it's still very much the core of the show, even if again, Ira Parker's words, even if I stupidly left out this scene. And number one, great comment. Really, really, I think holds true to what you and I have talked about, Alex. But also that kind of modesty from an HBO showrunner. What?
or that just kind of like comfort with fans. I don't know if anybody was like paying attention to this when The Sopranos was airing, but David Chase is like famously curmudgeonly. And my impression of David and Dan is just they were always so exhausted and just so like just
Yeah.
depleted by the fans, just like with our gaping maws, like just like give us story and content. And Ira seems
Not that way.
again. Ira seems to be handling this with a lot of grace, and I hope that
Hmm.
continues. I think it's again like to be comfortable enough to just say like, yeah, that wasn't my best choice and I wish I had made it differently. And then also but to say to that too, that's the beautiful thing about the television medium or visual medium versus literature, strengths of one They both have their
Yeah.
strengths, especially, and, like, I think the strength in television is that we have these living, breathing characters. We have Peter Claffey who can show us through Dunk's eyes, him experiencing the reality that he experiences with the Targaryens and at the hands of Aerion, which is, you know, a really, really cynical look at the world and kind of dashes or threatens to dash the infrastructure that has built up his belief system and everything that he knows is good. And then I think when he encounters Raymond and when he encounters the people who help him, and of course Baylor, but also like Steely Pate, I think that's when he's realizing like, okay, I wasn't just sold a bag of goods. There are other people like that believe the same things I do, or that will appreciate the way I live my life. Maybe I just wasn't lucky enough to find it here, but there are people like that.
Yeah. And I think there's also an argument to be made for show don't tell in television as opposed to the written word, especially. And Ira Parker could have just fallen back on that and said, "I didn't, I didn't include this scene because I felt like it was visually represented in every moment of the episode," and that would have been a fair take too. But no, he
Mhm.
said, you know what? My bad. You're right."
It was, yeah, it'll be interesting to see him. It'll be interesting to see like the convention presence that aggregates around this show because it is so different. I don't know. More to come at WonderCon, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think that the convention presence is going to be strong because they are, at least they're saying right now, and who knows with the HBO deal, but they're saying a season a year, which is rare recently, and we've talked that to death.
It also, I mean, it places it in really good stead to have like a nice trailer at Comic-Con and then another solid teaser or something or an episode release at New York Comic-Con. So that'll be fun if you're gonna cover that.
Yeah,
I think his humility is a good segue to talk about like our biggest topic of the episode, or the one that I still, as I rewatch clips I'm pulling to make dumb TikToks, which find us on socials. And this episode was just so spectacularly moving in a way that I think is hitting, not just because it was so well executed and it is such a beautiful story, but also because, boy, howdy, do we need figures to hope for right now? Do we need figures that are inspirational and people who just do what is right because it is what is right, not because they stand to benefit from it, and not because it's transactional, and not because, you know, there's just simply like we are all putting our hands together in social contract to say that these are the rules that we live by, so life that is already hard does not have to be even harder, that we can just have a little bit of trust between one another, and those bonds are so valuable, and I feel like they're so hard to form and they're so easy to break, and I think this is just a very timely episode, and maybe that's why it's resonating as much as it is, in addition to it being just also very good television.
that's hard to say because we love good television.
We do. We do. So yeah, I we really see I know something that we mentioned in the hot takes is that this is an episode I thought I did the amount of stuff that happened in this episode when we saw the preview from episode 3, I thought they were showing us what was going to happen in the back half of the season. I didn't
Yeah,
realize they were going to be
yeah,
like on the pitch with moments which is brilliant. I love the structure of this. I think it's so smart. Wondering if next week, because they have 2 episodes left, if we're not maybe going to get a flashback of some kind. Um,
I have theories, and I'm going to save them for the end of the episode because I might say too much.
Fair. Okay. Um, but yeah, this was I was we got I mean, like, it was just like a massive I just for me, we get Dunkin' Egg, and then immediately he's gonna walk into and then just have like a nice long sequence with Baylor, and then we get I just it felt truly like an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah.
Did you how did you feel about the pacing of this episode?
Again, I've said it before. All of these episodes feel longer than they are in the best way possible.
Mhm.
I thought to what you said that we could have easily ended the episode in right around Stefan's tent, the Fossaway tent, and have the, oh well, now we have a battle
Boy,
plan
that's a good
in, in at least in plot. But there, it's like clockwork. Everything is moving all the time, and such a such a great way. And and as far as that, those first 3 4 scenes with all the Targaryens, like no notes.
God.
Like the I could do an entire episode just on Egg and Dunk, and that such a sad moment, like of Dunk feeling so betrayed, and then immediately walking into Baylor's office and saying, "Oh no, he's a good kid. He's a good squire. Like
Oh, and then Baylor, like, it was
he
just
won't
3
spill."
very nice people who, like, mean that like, just 3 good men and 3 different generations, and it was just so sweet to see, like, Dunk come in and be like, he's like, "I'm gonna be the big man, and I gotta make sure," and then Baylor's like, "Don't spill it," which I thought was like I was like, "Alright, come on, J Jesus, be nice." And then and
Oh,
then
Targaryen.
yeah, I know. And then he's like and then Dunk is like, he's a good lad. And Baylor's immediately like, yeah, he didn't do you any favors. And to intend
Yeah,
to do wrong and doing wrong are very different things. And still in a kindly or not maybe not kindly, but still in a firm and kind way, not an angry, mean way, not a
right.
frustrated way.
In
Maybe.
a
And
life lesson way, even though this is a life lesson that at this point in time could cost Dunk a hand and a foot.
yeah, and that's I think you and I have talked about this scene, but I think one of the things that I love this scene so much, and I wondered a little bit how it was going to be received because essentially Baylor is like, "Cool, so you are kind of fucked, and also you're fucked,
Yeah.
and I have the power to help
But
you,
on the
but
upside,
you're
you're
fucked
fucked.
by 7 people.
Yeah.
I have the power to help
And
you, but I'm not going to because and I'm impressed that Bertie Carvel has sold that. I'm impressed the show has sold it to us that this is really the only path forward for all of the people whose value
mhm.
systems are in this room, and I feel like that's another example of them earning this.
Yeah, because a blanket pardon would legitimately weaken them.
And also it probably wouldn't
And
work, like,
yeah,
Arian
it'd just end up with him getting stabbed at an inn.
yeah, and I think Baylor knows, like also, I think a couple of people who've commented on our a TikTok and just reminded me that this is recently after the Blackfire Rebellion, so, like, the last thing that Baylor wants is to stoke family like, is give any signs that there's gonna be divisions within the family, and I think one of the things that, again, is good about this performance and so distinctive about Baylor's character is that you know that what he wants is for things to chill the fuck out and for things to stay as peaceful as possible for as long as possible, and he knows that that costs him in ways and that that costs difficult decisions for him, and that's I think that there's something Sam Makar is just too freaked out about his family crumbling to really be, measured about
Yeah.
this.
I mean, he's so freaked out about his family crumbling that he's causing his family to crumble.
Really. And then just having Baylor kind of instead of just have guards inform Dunk of his options, Baylor kind of gently and also for the benefit of audiences so we can see the scene, but, like, does kind of, like, gently walk Dunk to this conclusion. And he's not a dick about it. He knows that, like, because I mean, he's not an insecure person, and he's not threatened by Dunk in any way, so he can kinda let Dunk sort of get there and, like, protest and be like, "Wait, not this," and kind of feel it out on his own. Because typically, especially if you're a diplomat or you're somebody who's trying to get people who don't wanna do things all the time, then you understand that consensus and having someone come to you and have buy-in like that is important. So I really like Baylor, if
Yeah.
you couldn't tell.
Yeah. Not just that, but also the "how good of a knight are you" conversation. If Dunk says, "Well, I'm big and that's it,"
Mhm.
then honestly losing the hand's the better choice. If he doesn't think he can take carry on.
Yep. Yeah, I love that's interesting that you brought that up because I think they've done a really good job so far of having Arion and Dunk kind of orbit around each other, and then Dunk is angry at Arion in a split second. It's not
Mhm.
like this rage and this relationship has had a chance to build in a slow way. It's been sort of like these uh fast and upsetting interactions. They're like mildly so or really upsetting interactions. And then this like really like and then at this point I think Dunk is just
Mhm.
I wrote my notes like all of his fucks are flying out of the room, have flown out of the room when he's like at the Targaryen family dinner and like Lord Ashford is on the floor like fighting a walnut and this douchebag is in front of him being a piece of shit and Dunk's life is on the line and you get the sense that Dunk is just at this point like unimpressed by this kid and Arion is priggish and that's it. Like that's kind of their entire relationship and they're going to be ending and now they're facing off to kill one another. And so I like the fact that I think it's going to be another measure of the novel or another measure of how well this show is paced is to see Dunk and Arion take all of their sort of private take their own private Idahos and launch them at one another. And so I anticipate that. I think that's going to be.
I think that had the trial by combat started in that room,
Mhm.
it would have been 15 seconds, and Arion still could have had a sword, and it would have been
Yeah.
15 seconds, and he would have been a bloody pate on the floor.
Gosh, you know what, man? Johnny, this is like the fight of the century. I've not been this I feel is this what people get excited about when if you're like in a boxing vibe, like if you're in Vegas and you've got money on like a big fight, is this like a pay-per-view thing? Do you think?
Yeah, it's Ohio State, Michigan.
And then Baylor, do we like he's in his armor and he's on that horse outside of the gate. I think that he knew. Maybe that's a conspiracy theory, but it's my question. We have a better one though. So yeah, I think one of my questions
Yeah.
here too is like, do you think that it feels like with the timing that he must have known that that was a strong possibility. Um,
Uh,
I don't know. What do you?
yeah, Baylor could absolutely have had an idea that this is what was happening,
That's a good
and
point.
maybe not,
Oh, sorry. Go on.
and maybe not have had, to be sitting to be suiting up during all of this, but have had his bat cave ready,
Oh, that's a
like,
good
hey,
call.
I might need to do this quickly. Let's get the horse warmed up. I've got the remote starter,
If I
and
must, I
and basically,
must.
yeah, as soon as he saw them rolling in five deep, went to get himself strapped up.
I like that. I like that. Because it's also he wasn't thinking it was gonna be 7 nights, he was gonna think it was just Ariana Dunk. Also,
Yeah,
Baylor to be, like, not as kind to him was like, "Well, either option, it's win-win for me. Either Ariane
yeah.
loses or this problem ends."
I
That's it.
I think the biggest surprise of this episode for me is the fact that Ariane paid enough attention in school to know about the trial of the seven,
That was a little
or
bit like,
trial
I
by
was
seven.
like, where's your maester? Because that feels like you sourced that from someone else. That feels like AI.
Yeah, a trial by seven is when 9 nights.
Yeah, that's I this really has been a beautiful and kind of really wonderfully refreshing morality play. Like, this feels like, post Star Trek Game of Thrones.
Hey, I see it.
For the not Star Trek part of it, though, we should talk about fucking Stevron,
Ah, Stefron.
who gets his
Oh,
15
Stefron.
minutes.
He did, and like I said earlier in the episode, there are a couple things that my wife clocked and a couple that she didn't. But I think that Stefan came as a surprise based on his entirely believable why we should do this speech in the tent.
Yeah, like, this guy has never not been an asshole. Like, even when he was giving this speech, I was like, "You're not an asshole right now, but you're also inspiring." Like, give this guy an Emmy. This is again, everybody on this show is, like, making impressive use of their real estate. We were probably gonna talk about Darren in a minute, but just, like, everybody's doing with their 20 lines just absolutely what they have been paid to do, and like, book readers, I felt this way similarly when I was watching the Titanic for the first time. There I think I'm, like, 2/3 of the way in, and I'm
You
like,
know the
"Gosh, I
ship
hope it
sinks.
doesn't." Like, I was, like, 2/3 of the way through it and was just like, "I hope it doesn't sink," and fully had a conscious thought like that, and then watching Stefan was the same thing. I was like, "Well, look at this guy. Alright." And then I didn't wanna believe it. They're doing a really good job with the show.
Yeah. For the musical theater fans in the audience, opening to Hadestown, it's a sad song. It's a sad song. It's a tragedy. It's a sad song, but we're going to sing it anyway. And then you're about 75 minutes in and thinking, oh man, this time, Orpheus, you got this.
Oh, man. Othello is like that too. I think I've read
Hmm.
Othello just by virtue of, like, the English classes I took. I think I've read Othello the most in class, and every time, because I am not as cool as my other English majors. I'm not just picking up Shakespeare to read ad hoc, but in class, I'm always like in Act 4, and I'm like, God, I hope they make it. They haven't yet.
But this time,
This time, maybe this time. I mean, honestly, this is looking good for everybody involved. I'm glad that Baylor's on Dunk's team.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm glad that Sir Stefan, I think one of the reasons that I like this guy, or at least the character works so well, is that Sir Stefan is committed to every inch of himself. He is
Yes.
succeeding at being Sir Stefan Fossaway every inch of it, just as Raymond is succeeding at being Ray Fossaway.
I feel like if we'd gotten Edward Ashley as Euron Greyjoy,
Oh,
the tail end of Game of Thrones might have hit a little different.
would have been so different. I don't know. I had not a single problem with like Euron Greyjoy of the band Nickelback. He
I
was
thought it was
peak.
Coheed and Cambria, but yeah. Euron
Good band.
Greyjoy, leader of the Black Parade.
Oh my god. What's Jared Leto's
I was
band?
30
He would be the
Seconds to
fucking
Mars.
oh god. Jared Leto as Euron Greyjoy is a remake I would pay for.
You know, I don't want to pay for anything Jared Leto's in, but I will absolutely pirate it.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I think this was just a really impressive hat trick of Sir Stefan. Edward Ashley does nothing but nail it. You hate him, and then at the same time, he and Raymond. I wonder if they have an interview, if we'll ever hear about them working together, because those two managed to get the family and we fucking hate each other, and then like down to
Yeah.
like the shoving at the end, like and his dumb armor, like you it just so perfectly played like the cousin that everybody's like, ugh.
He'd drive an IROC.
Yep. Yep. Oh, that's a deep cut.
Raymond is a teenage dirtbag.
Teenage dirtbag baby. Oh my gosh, you're right. That is his theme song. This little
This is
sideburns.
like our most musical episode ever.
Good for us. Good for us.
Yeah.
It's because of the Grammys and because of Benito's concert that we have been inspired to express ourselves, in the
Hmm.
words of people who
Almost
didn't like
entirely an
the
emo.
concert. Did you watch the other Super Bowl halftime show?
I didn't. I did not. I saw pictures of the jorts, and that was enough.
Yeah, if you missed the lip syncing, which like so did he. So it's a special 30 seconds if you ever want to sacrifice that for for an indulgence.
That might be worth it.
Oh my god, it was so bad. It was so bad. Should we do some segments?
I think we should.
I think we should do some segments. Our
Yeah.
first segment, per usual, our first segment is our first segment is who smashed and who got unhorsed.
And why don't you go ahead and get us started on this one?
Okay,
Because
so
I have thoughts on yours.
all right, so even though we just spent 4 minutes excoriating this man's character, I think Sir Stefan smashed. He looks great. He
Hmm.
managed to like one up himself into a lordship for the small price of his
His honor.
which he told his cousin people have sold it for less, so I got a great deal. And like by the end of the episode, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. He's
Mm-mm.
not wrong. It took Peter Baelish how long to get that far?
Yep. Well, that's a
And
good
he did
point.
it in a morning.
Mic drop. Oh, I will say honestly, yeah, if you're gonna rank him, I would say Sir Stefan Fossaway is above Peter Baelish by a margin. Mostly because I don't know enough about Sir Stefan Fossaway, but Peter Baelish also is a really horrible person.
Yeah. I couldn't see Stefan saying chaos is a ladder, though.
No, no, they can't all be winners.
They can't all be winners.
They can't all be winners. But yeah, I
Yeah,
thought he had a good day, and I hope all of his choices work out for him. Oh,
I
and
can't
also
argue with you with that, except for that last part.
that was also like one of the funniest moments in the episode to me. And again, just people making good use of their real estate. Lionel Baratheon with his like just everything Lionel Baratheon does. But the fact that like Stefan is like, no, I'm gonna fight for the accusers, and they cut immediately to Sir Lionel, who is like, what? And I don't know if you wanted Sir Lionel to look at you with like shock and judgment.
The only thing that Stefan has going for him as far as that rivalry is the fact that Lionel is planning on killing a guy named Stevron.
Oh my gosh. That was so brilliant. Like again with like also with dunks like Rainwalk and just other comedic moments, or like when Raymond is at the horses and he's like, "Were you talking to your horses?" It's weird, bro. Sir Lionel up there is like, "Who the fuck is Sir Stevron?" Anyway, I'm gonna go do this, and it's just unbothered, unamused until Sir Stevron is a big enough asshole to distract Lionel Baratheon
Ignite
from the thing that
the
Lionel
laughing storm.
Baratheon would prefer to be paying attention to, which at this point is
Yeah,
like something on his horse. I don't care. I like to let that man be. He's a lot of chaos. No notes. And I was like, yeah, I feel like that. Like now you're a target. And he doesn't even know why. He's just gonna kill you.
I just like as far as the established knights that joined, I love the different reasoning. You've got Beesbury,
That's a good point.
who's you broke my ride and my leg.
No,
Um,
that's Humphrey. That's
oh yeah,
Humphrey
oh no, that's
Harding.
Humphrey. Yeah, that's Humphrey. That's
But
Humphrey
yes,
Harding, who's you broke my ride, so I must have vengeance. Yeah, you've got Robin Riesling, who's got God told me to do it, but you got Lionel Baratheon saying this sounds fun.
there hasn't been one of these in a couple hundred years.
Yeah, 600 years, and I've
Have
been
you guys
hoping.
tried cocaine? I've tried some this morning. At the end of this season, we could count up like who is your festival bestie and like who would be your teams to take with you to another festival, and who would not be invited back.
Like sleeping. Like I will hang out with Lionel, but he is not in my camp.
Okay, see, okay, yeah. All right, guys, pay attention. We're gonna Johnny and I, when we finish the
We're gonna come back to
series,
this.
we're gonna have basically a D&D game made up for you guys about like these characters and like what to do with them at a music festival. So stay tuned and you're welcome.
Back to the segment at hand, though. My smashed is a counterpoint to yours, and it is Raymond Fossaway. Number one, everybody
All
loves
right.
Raymond, and yes, I've been
Everybody
waiting, sitting on that for weeks. But
right there.
more than that, like he stepped up. He in a split second, he was like, that's not how this works. Knight me, bro. Knight me, bro. Bro, knight me.
Talking to your horse,
And
bro.
and he's just uh, this is how it's going to be. I already know that this man can kick my ass. It is literally how you met me, but also rage is its own strength, and I have nothing but unbridled rage right now.
For
Like,
some kind of tactical training, I feel like, depending
yeah,
on your level of rage, surely that is equivalent to several years of tactical training. Oh, well, experts
at least
chime
according
in.
to Dungeons and Dragons, yeah.
Yeah. It's not a lot, it doesn't
I,
last
I
forever, like, just for the length of your adrenaline, but
my curiosity, and this is not me throwing out spoilers or anything like that, but just my curiosity with the lordship is where exactly are Stefan and Raymond as far as inheritability goes, and were Raymond to take him out, would this have been a very pragmatic move as well? Not that that's what he was thinking.
Would it have been Raymond the whole time? Is Raymond the orchestrator? These are oh my god, we're just all the conspiracy theories are growing like weeds now. Raymond did have an excellent episode because not only did he prove himself to be like just I don't know, graceful under pressure. He's a capital friend, like truly a bro. And again, this was also a moment that was earned because am I gonna believe that Raymond Fossaway meets Duncan, like shares some ale with him, and then like gets onto his side if we're just seeing them kind of carouse together? No. Yeah, they gave their limited amounts of screen time. These guys have made every single frame count, and they gave us one, two, three interactions with them to understand, and all of that comes together to be like, "Fuck yeah, Raymond." And then just like that beautiful denouement of them pushing each other, and then turning around and Lionel the Laughing Storm knighting you. Like, Raymond's gonna be cooler than
Yeah.
Steve for the rest of their lives, however long that is, and oh man, doesn't matter what Raymond inherits now. He got knighted by the Laughing Storm.
Getting knighted by the laughing storm is like the kid from club showing up at prom with two broken arms from a motorcycle accident.
And, like, the Red Hot Chili Peppers behind him.
Yeah.
I that was such a wonderful sequence too, where just that whole sequence of Dunk kind of realizing what is at stake and what is happening in real time, and, like, even, like, down to
Mhm.
the moment of Ashford, like, poor put upon Sir Ashford's like, "You go ahead and take a minute. Everybody here sucks." And him flashing and seeing him like, you the way they interpose Lionel knighting Raymond and just going up, and that was just, like, powerfully sexy.
Yeah.
Like, the sword going up and down and then flashing to Dunk, and then Dunk sees Sir Arlen, and you see him and, like, every time he's thought of Sir Arlen, you get the sense, he's looking for guidance, and then at the end of that flashback, Sir Arlen just shrugs. And it was such a beautiful kind of coming of age, like, "We can do this. You got the father, the mother, and the whatever, and that's all we got. Go forth.
Yeah.
Do your best."
And and talking about how efficiently they're using their time in especially late Game of Thrones where they didn't have timing of episode constraints. The knighting of Raymond would have been a scene, and we would have gotten, I assume that the knighting is in the name of all of the seven. I don't recall,
What I
and
was
we
gonna
would have
say.
gotten everything and not just the you're gonna get the gist because we got things to do and we got things to see. I I
Yeah.
I I I, I wonder how House of the Dragon would have been different if this had been the first miniseries, and how this one would have been different because they might not have trusted 6 episodes and half an hour to carry on the legacy of Game of Thrones.
That's a good point, and I don't know, and I think it's folly to sort of think back, but just because, like, we have what we have, but I remember I think that, and I think audiences are showing now as we watch a little bit of the MCU kinda collapse a bit under its own weight, that, like, this is the part where art and commerce aren't the best of friends. Just because something works for the way that Game of Thrones works, the opposite of business is to look at that like it's ephemeral, and like it
Hmm.
has a beginning, a middle, and end. These are just like, and I say this without a shred of bitterness, a shred of resentment, as a creative who finds herself like a bit bloodied at that intersection too sometimes, but like that is simply how that's just how business works, and that's how they
Yeah.
function, and creative has and when we have to and they have to find a way to function together, and Game of Thrones did that. I will say I'm getting a little tired of like the Game of Thrones angry at season 8 discourse. Like, I would love to put that to bed, but I don't know. I remember being done with Game of Thrones and being like, "Okay, I'm done with this." And I just needed a break from that intensity, but I can also see knowing, how decisions are made. at networks and at studios and how things go. I can see why they wanted to like lead. Like, I'm not surprised they wanted
Yeah.
to lead with the dragons of it all. And I'm not, and that's what his, you gotta, we have shareholders and eternal growth, and we have to make money. And this is the only way we can make money. And then finally, hopefully, creative manages to sneak through there through those policies in a way that makes sense, like this one does. But I think House of the Dragon would have been a much bigger hit had it come after this, at least the first or second season of. Sorry, it
To
took me
come
a long time to
after
get to the
this
point.
executed the way we're seeing it.
Yeah, specifically, like, I honestly could have been done with House of the Dragon until this year. But I also, again, like, this is, I never really, I didn't bemoan that, and I don't think on it
We
too
just
much.
stopped podcasting it.
Yeah, kind of. And this is kind of becoming a greater conversation about fandom. But yeah, I think you and I are both sort of a little, have never really been the fans who have been gripping onto something really tightly at the same time as opining how much we're frustrated with it and angry with it. We just watch different stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Star Trek.
we should get on to our who didn't have a great episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who was unhorsed, and I say Arion because my favorite part of this episode was that little that little shit showing the only sign of worry that he's shown now that his uncle is on the other side and it's 7 against 7 and he's gonna have to put his fucking money where his mouth is. Booyah! Your uncle doesn't care if you die.
You don't think that he was showing worry just in asking for the trial by 7? And when Makar says, "Are you just doing this because you're afraid of the big guy?"
Oh, fair.
And
No, yeah,
Aaron's
I
like,
don't. I think that,
"Ah."
but he seemed. This was the first time I saw him like visibly
You
like.
actually saw it as opposed to the front.
Yeah, yeah, as opposed to him just doing what assholes do, which is I try to make jokes, I suppose. But
Mhm.
yeah, poor
I
Boo.
also
Maybe I'll have a
I
bad.
agree with you 100%. And I'm going to add a secondary reason, which is for some reason I never really put the two names together, but guy's named Aerion Targaryen.
I know.
Like,
It's not his
and
fault. That's the big
that's not his fault, but still, I mean, if Aegon can go by Egg, you can get a nickname.
Beyond
And
Targaryen.
honestly, I was going with Marion the librarian from Music Man, but yeah,
Yeah.
but if Aegon can go by Egg, you can find something, and maybe your life would have been a little bit better if you'd been, I don't know, Airy.
Ugh. Certainly would have been easier on us or everybody that you know. His entire family, man, is just like this fucking guy. They also do a good job, I think, of via Darren and Arian and Makar of showing that like the grass is always greener. These people are just as miserable, if not more so, than the small folk. Which, like, no, I'm not telling that to the small folk to make them feel better about having like way higher mortality rates, but it is a. I like how I think sort of effortlessly they've shown that like egg. There's a reason egg seeks out Dunk, just the way, and there's a reason that egg will benefit from Dunk the way that Dunk will benefit from egg.
Absolutely.
And so who was unhorsed? Who was unhorsed
It's
for you?
it's a bad week for the Targaryens because Daeron,
Oh,
like, even in his having a good idea and, ultimately being the least shitty of the adults.
not a high bar, but
Not a high bar, not a high bar, but I mean, we've got him lying about Dunk to save his own skin. We've got him going in and confessing that to Dunk. And then we've got him almost dying because they can't kill me twice, says Dunk. Like, and then saying, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lie on the ground and wet myself. Well, it's now 7 verse 6. Like, he's just not having a good day, and this is probably one of the better days he's had.
yeah, Darren is a pretty sad figure because
Yeah.
it's not like it gets any. But like Darren is clearly a case of somebody who drinks to self-medicate, and the thing that makes him medicate
Mhm.
does not go away. They don't have
Yeah.
drugs, hallucinations.
Speaking of the Yeah.
Or like,
Speaking of the thing
fortune
that makes
telling.
himself medicate, speaking of the thing that makes himself medicate, however, this is the other thing that my wife picked up on while we were watching the show, and she's not, terminally online reading the wikis like some people. He says, pointing at himself and the audience, if you've made it this far. But she was sitting there and thinking and saying, wait. Wasn't the three-eyed raven a Targaryen? And then going on to the wikis and confirming things, and it's like, okay, so his visions make sense. I said, yes. Like, and so that was really cool. And again, she's someone who has seen everything, but the fact that it was written in a way that those connections can be made when you're not checking the wiki between episodes and things like that is yet another kudos to Ira Parker,
Yeah. Yeah.
but not
It's
to Darren.
poor guy. This guy is just this is a flash. This is gonna be like maybe one of the not the flashback in the intervention episode, but like the slice of life segment. Oof. Yeah. Um, not always great to be a Targaryen. With that, I think that segues neatly into our tournament etiquette lessons that we won this week.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny, do
Yeah.
you want to go? Do you want to go first?
I can go first, and the lesson that we got goes back to our friend Stefan. And if you say you're bringing a guest, bring your guest, or at least change your RSVP,
I mean,
or like, or else people who don't even know you are gonna kind of, eh.
they're gonna look askance.
Yeah, it's bad form, to quote a
Bad
book.
form.
Bad
Bad
form.
form. Um, Mine are surrounded by Darren, who I'm gonna give him a little credit for trying just hard enough, but he does say that he'll throw a fight. Because actually, real quick, just in Darren's defense, just he doesn't know that Dunk and Egg have become, like, best friends. He just said that some tall person stole him, right? And, like, it's the accident
Yeah,
of that is why he's okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So, yeah,
and it was
like
just the guy that if he doesn't remember seeing him at the end, he just said a guy I dreamt about.
yeah. So he in his attempt to cover for that and to like do that, he does legitimately throw a fight or an engagement by
Yeah.
saying he will lose on purpose, which again for everyone is how you properly throw a
Yeah,
fight.
that's how you do it.
Which
Otherwise, you're just saying let's have sports.
yeah, and like I guess again, like I give credit to the Mr. Plummer and Mr. Ashford for offering to pay Dunk, like pay him for his work and give him
Mm-hmm.
acknowledgement and like give him truly present him with a deal that is not insulting. I appreciate that, but still. And then also regarding Darren and specifically his relationship with Ray Fossaway, who like Ray, I have empathy for his opinion about the Targaryens in general, but when the Targaryens in general are Targaryens in person and in your tent, it's best not to laugh when the 8-year-old tells you that his brother threatened to cut off his penis or threatened to cut off his little man. And I like that Darren clocked that, and I like this comes to my tournament etiquette that isn't a tangent. Don't start nothing, won't be nothing, because Raymond talks some shit about Targaryens, and then, like, effortlessly, basically on his way out, Darren's like, yeah, it's a good, yeah, I wish my brother had been a Fossaway, because then he would just think he was an apple, and it's considerably less dangerous. Excuse me, I have to go vomit.
For having a bad episode, he had
Oh,
some good
man.
lines.
I have been that kind of hungover, and that's just, oh, this is so cruel. It's oof. Ugh. Especially when someone's mad at you too. Like, ugh, I just imagine Darren like wakes up at the the end, like looks at his phone, like, fuck.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Are
that
these
too.
texts responding or are these texts just informing?
I think it's a whole saga. Like it's just Makehart, where are you? Makehart, where are you? Makehart, where are you? Egg, see you later. Makehart, where is Egg? Makehart, where are you?
Keeper, why is there all this hair on my floor?
Arion, dick pic.
Keeper, check out at 11.
Late checkout incurs a fee. It's a scarf. that I wear. And bringing us to our penultimate segment, most valuable parenting, because there were a lot of parents this episode.
There were.
There's a lot of parenting.
Yeah. Why don't you get us started on this one?
I am gonna give this MVP enthusiastically to Lord Ashford, who all he wanted to do was throw his little girl a birthday party.
My
That's it.
super sweet 16.
That's all he wanted to do. He was willing to pay for this. He put up the
Hmm.
king. He made sure everyone was comfy. Everyone liked the food. Everyone liked the entertainment. Like, that's it. He did his part.
Hmm.
He did his part. He got the walnut off the floor without complaint. And I liked the exchange between, I was like, which Ashford is like is one of the Ashfords a lesser Ashford? Like, why is one of the Ashfords not getting under the table? I don't know. Anyway, that guy was a boss. And then when he comes out of the gate and he sees that Dunk is worried, Ashford is like, I hate these people. I'm sorry you got to do it. And you just get to see this wonderful moment of him being like in league with Dunk in a way that lords and common folk probably never get to like have it kind of an exchange like that. And that was just so meaningful because this guy has had, I think, not one scene. He's had like maybe two lines, if that, and he's just been like the entire time just watching his fortune slip away. His daughter's kind of a brat. She's not happy. They're having this whole thing, and they flash to her, and she's miserable. And it's just this guy, Lord Ashford. Hats off to you for doing the Lord's work. It's a tough weekend.
It's a tough weekend. He had such high hopes and a slightly different family. Like if this was Sweet Robin's birthday party, this could would have been the best thing that could have happened.
Oh, if this were Sweet Robin's birthday, well, okay. If this were Sweet Robin's birthday party, it'd be so weird.
And, well, yeah, if it was Sweet Robin's birthday party, Ariane would have killed him.
That's true, maybe. I don't know. I feel like the Sweet Robin vibe is like Jean Ralphio from it's like Entertainment 720.
Watch that, John Ralphio. Make the bad man fly.
Money, please. All right, that's just one of my favorite Parks and Rec lines. Johnny, so whose parenting did you admire this week?
So, and this is a scene that you had a little bit to say about, but I'm gonna choose Steely Pate, and i- in the sense that it was a very Hallmark moment. It was the closest we got to saccharine.
I
It,
stick to Disney on
it
that. Hallmark feels
yeah.
I don't know why I'm interrupting you.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Disney, but definitely the well, things are bad, but things are going to be okay. Like it was very much what Dunk needed to hear. And again, going back to what Ira Park said, like it was Steely Pate giving him the armor for a copper is the same thing. It
Yeah.
is the well, you're a true knight now.
Well, and it's again, it's a show in many ways about relationships and Dunk's progression of becoming a person who deals with other people instead of his employer dealing with other people. And each one of these relationships has its own evolution and bears different fruit, and they're all satisfying in their own way. Like Raymond and Dunk just becoming buds in a way that like really makes sense for two men their age who have relatively common, who just have a little bit in common. And then Steely Pate, who's a guy who's just, deals with a lot of bullshit like the prostitutes. Like he's a person who in this world moves about it kind of transactionally and with money. And so those are the things that keep him safe. And those are the things that keep him stable and make sure that he's got a business. And so those aren't things that he will break for many people, which is, kind of comes clear in their first meeting. But usually people without tremendous amounts of money have to make do by working and collaborating and just
Yeah.
generally peopling with other people in ways that aren't alienating.
Yeah.
That basically follow the religion of don't be a dick. And Dunk is successfully not a dick to enough people that want to help him that it works out for him.
Yeah. Had this been even more Disney, we also would have seen him get a free goose egg.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted Pate to like have to like, to just see that wagon kind of, like, go off a little bit into the sunset, and it's animated, and he just, like, goes off to Toontown, and that's all you hear. Steely Pate. Again. Who Framed Steely Pate? I'd watch it.
I'd watch it.
And with that, friend, with that, I think we're at the tail end, the
Yeah.
ground zero, the last bits
Yeah.
cooling the
There's
drain. Time to talk about conspiracy
before we
theory.
get into the conspiracy theory, there's one thing I wanted to save for towards the end of the episode, and
Ah,
that's talking about what I think is going to happen next week. And I don't want to be super story spoilers, but the pacing of this has been such that I think we are going to get something that Game of Thrones did very, very well, which is a mind blowing last 2 minutes of the penultimate episode of the season. That's all I want to say about that.
'cause these are gonna this was a pretty
And
mind-blowing last 2 minutes of
of this one.
this one too. Wow, that's a pretty tall b I'm intrigued. I
Yep.
can't wait to see how everything falls out.
Yeah.
Should we talk about our conspiracy
Yes.
theories, Johnny? Because 'Cause there've been a
Yes.
few.
Yes. Why don't we talk about your conspiracy theory, Alex?
Okay, well, mine is about Barbara. And if you know
Hmm.
Barbara, she's the fortune teller who looks like, again, she came in from wardrobe. And I'm not mad at Barbara. It was just specific, like there was just something. And I found out, we mentioned this in the hot takes, it's because Barbara is leading a double life. She's the innkeeper. The innkeeper who was like, fuck a tournament. I don't like doesn't sound not for me. Miss me with that tournament. And she's at the tournament. And I think that's brilliant. It
Which,
reminds me of an episode of Designing Women where Julia Sugarbaker had a double life as a jazz singer.
or an episode of Parks and Rec where Ron Swanson had a double life as a jazz singer. Except for that was actually Ron Swanson. Wait, no, because this
No,
is
he wasn't.
actually
He had a
Barbara. This is Barbara. Yeah,
Is
it was Duke Silver
Duke Silver.
is Ron Swanson.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. Is she Barbara Swanson? We'll have to think about that.
And if she is truly a soothsayer, did she drive the lamb cart?
Is Barbara a faceless man?
Ooh.
I just took my breath away.
Barbara is red confirmed.
I'm all right. I think Barbara is the fifth Cylon.
You'll know if we hear all along the watchtower at any point during the trial by the seven.
Oh my god. Guys, you can tell it's a
Again, the
shit
most
episode.
musical episode we've ever done. So I think that's what we've got for this week. I'm again really excited for the episode 5.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm it's a little bittersweet. Johnny and I need to start talking about what's our next show gonna be because we are planning to keep podcasting on a weekly basis with breaks here and there, but we want to keep doing this. We want to keep chatting. And it sucks that Night of the Seven Kingdoms is going to end soon, but we're excited to kind of keep this going. And
Have it back sooner.
yeah, also that, also to be able to talk about the show that we like right now and know that it's going to be back within the next presidential administration. So that's key. Um,
Before Egg turns 24.
yeah, ideally. Um,
Before Egg marries a Jonas brother.
which nice catch. Folks, you can find us every Monday morning with a hot take or Sunday night, depending on how we record and get it up. So you can expect us back on February 15th or 16th. And then we'll also follow with a deep dive. We're going to keep doing that. And you can find us on social media at got_thrones on TikTok, at got thrones on Instagram, and at got thrones podcast on YouTube if you care to watch our
Yep.
shining faces.
Yeah. And thanks everybody for listening. Again, I'm excited for I was so excited for this week, more excited for next week. It's going to be amazing.
I am simply all a Twitter, and everybody right now should go look up Bertie Carvel in Matilda because the images will simply blow your mind. He's a gifted man. Yeah. All right. So with that, folks, we will see you in a few days. Bum bum bada bum bum. Get excited.
Bada boom, boom. Thanks, folks.
Bye.